This is the missing ingredient in your practice routine. For starters, we have to define practice. Practice is when you work on things that you're not actually good at. If you're practicing looks like I'm going to sit down at my kit and turn on my favorite songs and play along to them. If your practice is I'm going to go sit down and just jam out and do some stuff that I think is fun or play these licks that I already know, you, my friend, are not practicing. You're doing what we call rehearsing. We spell it hear, sing, because you're doing things that you already know. And there's no growth when that happens. You're not stretching at all. The thing that you need to do and make sure that you're doing is actually practicing stuff that you're not good at. See, if your practice sucks when you sit down and it's not fun and what you're working on is hard and it's like not easy to do, that's how you know you're practicing. If you feel like a fish out of water while you're doing this, that's when you know that you're actually practicing. You gotta remember, like, the first time you started playing the drums at the very beginning is probably when you had some of the biggest growth spurts because you didn't know anything about the drums. But then you started practicing. You went from not knowing how to do this thing at all to playing basic grooves and basic drum fills, and it was super exciting. And you were probably on top of the world, at least felt like that, when you first started. As you continued, you got good enough, and maybe you started playing in bands or at church, or you played out with your friends sometimes, and time went on and went on and went on, and now, like, maybe life got in the way and you stopped playing for a while, and now you're back and you're not playing fills at the level that you want, but when you actually sit down and try to work on them, it's hard for you to do that because it feels like you're a beginner and that's painful. But if you just readjust your mindset around that, it'll be easier for you to sit through that because that's the only way you're gonna get to the goal. Like, you have to go through the hard stuff.
Hey, yo, pause.
Yeah, that is crazy.
You gotta pause.
Hey, yo. You have to go through the hard stuff. It's wild. Okay.
You have to go through the difficult things.
You have to go through the difficult things. Now that we've established what practicing is, when you do practice, this is what most drummers don't do. They don't track their growth. You can be working towards something and be really, 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 really close, but you don't know how close you are. You don't know when it's gonna break. You don't know when you're gonna reach the goal, but you continue to work and you continue to hammer at all this stuff, and then you quit, but you were literally 3 feet from gold. It's a book, by the way. It's called 3 Feet from Gold. It's like something that musicians should probably read, even though it doesn't have anything to do with music. But anyway, you know where you are, you know where you want to go, but you're not tracking anything in between. So you could be halfway there, but you don't even know it because you're not tracking your growth. If you actually do track these things, then you'll be able to see if you are making progress, and you can celebrate the progress you're making, even if it's a little progress. And as long as you're consistent, you will see progress. But if you're not tracking your growth, then you're hacking yourself in the wrong way to be disappointed because you haven't reached the goal that you feel like you should reach fast enough, and you start telling yourself, it's not working. I'm not getting any better. I'm not progressing. And then what happens? You stop. And now you definitely don't get the goal because you're not doing the things that you need to do to get the goal. But if you actually track your growth, you'll be able to see it along the way, okay? And that's one of the main things we do in the Shed Camp Club is we literally track every student's growth every single week from BPM to BPM to BPM to make sure that they're actually getting results. And if they're not, we can measure it. And we actually are able to adjust what we're doing based on what we see on the data. Well, at the end of the day, I want you guys to, number one, actually practice. Don't just watch our videos here on YouTube and sit down and play your drums with drumless tracks and feel like you've practiced. You haven't. I'm just here to tell you, and that's a huge part of the reason why you're not playing at the level that you want. But when you do start practicing, and you are working on things that are difficult for you to do, that you cannot already play with ease and without thinking about it, when you sit down and do that, I want you to track your growth, all right? I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.